Is it- Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear us now? I think that should be good. I think we might have pressed. How about now? Can you hear us now? There we are.
Awesome. There
Awesome. All right. So,
So you should say all those things over, yeah?
yeah, I should say all those things over. Hi.
You guys just missed the meaning of love and
You just missed the
relationships.
dopest meaning of life. Like,
Oh, man.
sorry.
It was perfect. Can't be said that way again.
It's gone forever. So I'm going to recap what I said about. I have an assessment. So today we're going to be talking all about awareness and about really finding value-free or judgment-free ways to see where you're at. And this is this idea of relationship as a vehicle or a car. And related to that, I have an assessment that you're invited to take, which takes about 4 or 5 minutes and gives you a really quick snapshot of what's working well, where you're sailing along great in how you relate, and what could use your attention. So I have different assessments based on if you're partnered or single, and single includes dating or, and partnered tends to be committed to one or more than one person. And so if you want access to that assessment, just drop partnered or single in the comments and I'll get you the link to that afterwards. Thank you for piping up about the sound because now we are back. All right. So today's topic is relationship as a vehicle.
Yeah. Now, do we need to reintroduce ourselves? I mean,
we should introduce ourselves.
I think that was part of the thing that was cut off.
Oh, shit. You're right. Okay, great. Hi, Lisa. Oh, so glad you're here. Okay, so I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly. I call myself a relationship alchemist, sometimes a relationship transformation expert, and I really help primarily women, also couples. Hey, Erica. Hey, cousin.
Hey,
Here's your cousin.
Hey, fam.
Awaken through their relationships. So within their relationships, approaching their relationships as a vehicle for awakening and understanding more about themselves and being able to show up more clear and true. How about you? Who are you, Patrick?
I'm Patrick. I am a person who is I'm here to help the world know how to love and be in a relationship better.
Yes, you are.
That's what I'm here to do.
Yes,
Hope I can help you out a little bit.
Yes, he is. Oh, and a note to everyone who doesn't know why we just called Erica fam and cousin is we just discovered when we were all having dinner, she cooked the most amazing dinner here in Cabo last week for a group of our mastermind friends and discovered that on the Price side of Patrick's family, they are related.
That we're cousins.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. Relationship is like a car. So we were chatting the other day, and I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't remember how we got to that point.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to this idea, but we started looking at and thinking about relationships like a car and how it says so much about us. Like, are you the kind of person who waits till your car breaks down to do maintenance on it? Like, and then you got to get it fixed? Are you the kind of person that shows up for every oil change and does the tune up and even gets it detailed?
Yeah,
like
super
actually
obsessive person who with the toothbrushes in there, like getting a little grime from in between the dashboard and everything. Are you that person? Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, Cassandra, good to see you. Hey, Barbara. Oh, are you having trouble hearing us still? Wait a minute. Is there still trouble hearing us? I feel like the volume should be okay. Hello, hello. Can you confirm that you can hear us? Because Lisa's mentioning this comment just arrived, so maybe it's okay, fine. It's great. Okay, good. All right. Can hear you. Hey, Corey, good to hear you. Thank you. I think we're good, Lisa. I think you can hear us now, right? Can you hear us? All right, Stacy hears us fine. Cassandra can hear, great. Okay. Yeah, the mic was accidentally muted. We were moving it around earlier before the call and it was muted when we started, but we're all good now. All right, so, oh yeah, no, Alexis can hear now. Thank you, Lisa. All right, so back to the car idea. So let's talk about the relationship that likes detailing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the car, like the kind of person who likes to have their car running well, details it on a regular basis, not just washes the car, but actually has it detailed. Who's that person like in a relationship?
Well, that person, I mean, they make sure that everything is working all the time. They can tend to even be like a little bit too controlling. Like they don't want anybody to sit in there. Like maybe they have like white leather seats and they're like, oh, well, you're wearing blue jeans. Are you gonna sit in my car? Like, I don't know about that. You can't eat in my car. You can't drink in my car. Maybe you can breathe air in my car. I'm not sure.
So how does that translate into intimate relationship?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking to me.
Yeah, I'm talking to
you. I guess other people can't respond in
No,
real
they
time.
can respond in the chat.
Yeah, so
which you are welcome to do. You are invited to respond in the chat.
Right. So that person, I've been guilty of doing that sometimes, where it's like you're so controlling that you're like you're not letting the other person have their own experience. Mm-hmm. You're trying to make sure everything is perfect all the time, and then it ends up just not being fun. It ends up not being, you lose spontaneity. Yeah. And it just can't run smoothly. I mean, it looks pretty, but it doesn't really work in its own way.
Oh, I love that. So I want to really highlight that part. It looks pretty, but it doesn't really work. What that makes me think about are those kind of Instagram, overly Instagram curated relationships where, the photos and the beautiful locations and everything looks pretty, but in fact, they're miserable with each other and they don't actually have a living, breathing thing.
Yeah, right? and I bet that type of relationship, people are keeping tally. Like, I did this for the car right now. Did you do anything for the car? And it's like, and each person thinks that they did the most.
Yeah,
that can get icky real fast.
Yeah, for sure. That can get. Oh, I love that. Cassandra says, "Let the winds of heaven blow between you." Yes, and so can you describe, Patrick? Let's talk about. So that's kind of the person. So I don't want to make it sound like we're down on detailing.
I mean,
because detailing is great.
Yeah.
Like looking at your relationship, seeing what needs to be tweaked is great. But when it gets to this obsessive kind of, don't sit on my white seats with blue jeans on, when it gets to this where you're walking on eggshells around each other because there's so much self-evaluation going on or so much fixing, that also is kind of goes too far.
Yeah, because there's totally an upside for that type of relationship too, where they can be very considerate. They plan out vacations together. There's not a lot of static with money and schedule, and there's things that can work really well. I think all the different zones have spots that work well, but they have spots that they can work on as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So if someone has the type of orientation toward relationship where you like to do regular tune-ups, because cars need maintenance, right? So we're kind of coming from the foundation of relationships being like a car, and it's not necessarily the best practice to run the thing into the ground and then have to have it towed because it's just busted, right? So obviously both of us as people who are passionate about relating and relationship are advocates for doing something sooner than that, right? Not waiting until, but I mean, I've certainly waited till things have broken down before I do anything about it, right? So it's not something that one never does. Anyway, back to the tune-up idea. So this first level is kind of like detailing. There's the detailing obsessive, to a fault. You're too focused on what needs to be fixed and oh my God, what's happening? And there's a bit too much of that. Then there's kind of the mellow ideal level of detailing where it feels good. You get in the car and it feels good, and you're like, oh, there's a smudge over here. Let's wipe that. Let's see what that is.
It's right? Almost like when you get into a really nice Uber. It's people can get in it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's, they have a stick of gum. They have your car charger you need. It feels good to be in there. There's not too much spray scent in there.
I think that's kind of the ideal, right? Yeah. That would be the ideal where that's kind of the relationship we're after. And we think it's probably a great idea. So the tune-up, those who don't ever clean the car or wait till, the quarterly tune-up, so to speak, describe in a relationship, what would be the corollary that you see there?
Okay, so a car is in need of a tune-up, or just regular maintenance is kind of the thing that it needs. So like an oil change, or you had that check engine light on for a while. Like there's some signs that some things aren't really working well, and you just kind of like turn a blind eye to it and just keep chugging along, or you're like the brakes kind of make this squeegee noise when you press it, and it's like, oh, it's been doing that for a few months now, and you just keep on pushing the envelope.
So in a relationship, what does that look like?
So in a relationship, that could look like, like that. Like there's like this fight that you and your partner always have, or there's this disagreement, or that just always comes up and constantly gets touched, or maybe it's you realize that you and your partner don't spend enough time together, and it's just been a long time, or maybe you aren't having sex and it like keeps going on, and you aren't talking about it. There's no line of communication. There's like all these different spots that kind of like your day-to-day still works, but there's these signs that the relationship needs some attention. It needs a little TLC.
What comes to mind for me when it's like the tune-up, or like you wait for the tune-up kind of relationship, that to me is the folks who don't do any work, let things kind of fester and go under the rug in the daily life. And then they go to a couples retreat, or they take a vacation and expect that to fix it. That, it's like, that's a difference between doing the oil change on time and the regular maintenance. And like you were saying, it needs regular stuff. The version of that in relationship is, well, we're just not going to do anything. Then we're going to discover we're disconnected. And then we're going to try to reconnect by doing a big thing, like a massive tune-up, and expect the tune-up to carry us for till the next tune-up. And while that, that's better than letting the shit completely break down, it's, to my mind, and this is someone who did couples retreats in my marriage, which, as we all know, didn't work out. But I don't blame the retreats for that. However, because we were also in couples therapy, counseling ongoingly, there is a certain kind of things get better and then things slump back to normal because you don't actually create lasting change, and things get better because you could do something drastic like a retreat or a tantra retreat or a vacation or whatever, and then things kind of slump back to normal. That to me feels like the tune-up model of relationship work.
And I think the benefits of that type of relationship is that I think the partners aren't taking small things. They don't take small things too seriously. They don't run into that. They don't run into there's not often really any big fights. There's not. But but it also can run the risk of you're kind of just like stuck in this like purgatory zone where it's like it's never great and it's never bad.
And you're looking to something external, like you have to leave your life to make it better. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, the retreat model, like, oh, let's go on this vacation, let's go on this retreat, like this will reconnect us.
Or even like, and some people will even look outside of the relationship,
right?
Either honestly or dishonestly.
Exactly. I mean, either come by it honestly, like in a poly kind of way, where everything is above board and communicative.
Yeah, like the ways people attempt to tune up can be healthy or unhealthy,
or not.
Yeah,
right. Or you do it covertly. And oh, great, thank you, Alexis. I was about to ask. Thank you for chiming in. So we have here. I am loving all your analogies. Yeah, and the reason why we wanted to talk about these analogies is when we talk about, so here's what I see working with people around their relationships, is there is often shame in admitting that there are things that are less than perfect and need work. And people will be hiding, and not even admitting to themselves, or afraid to ask for support because it might, means something. There's just so much shame. And so we wanted to bring this analogy to you of the various types of car approaches to relationship, because to normalize it.
Yeah, like there's
Like nobody has shame about needing a fucking oil change, right? Because it's just what the car needs. Well, relationships are the same, you know. It's not shame that maybe your communication needs a tune-up, or your sex life needs a tune-up, or time together needs a tune-up.
Exactly. Just like most of us don't have training to fix our own car. Most of us don't have training to fix our own relationship, or don't know the skills required. It's just it's not taught, and but we really think that we should know.
We think that we should know,
even though we're not taught. Like a lot of us don't have good examples. We haven't seen good examples, and we haven't gotten curious enough to experiment and see what's possible.
Exactly. I love that you brought in the word experiment, because that's so much how we keep our relationship, well, going, but also interesting, is kind of approaching it from this experimentation research kind of perspective, where it's like, oh, this is what's happening. Let's get curious about it. What do you want to do here? What could we do differently? This is like the regular maintenance kind of idea. Or sometimes the tune-up. Sometimes we do go do a retreat, or we do something drastic to kind of shake things up. I want to highlight what's coming in here. Oh, thank you, Chantaline. Chantaline says, you two are so adorable. Yes, this is so key. I dismiss or excuse these maintenance things. Yeah, we somehow, don't make time for the regular maintenance, and then we wonder why the car has a knocking sound.
And we think it's just supposed to work.
Right, exactly.
Without us putting in any effort or
like
attention.
This, the idea, if it's right, it should be easy. Exactly.
Boom.
And so I really want to highlight this idea that, maybe the word work is wrong, and maybe that's why we think work is hard. I want to highlight that maintenance is maintenance. Like, it just needs to be done. And it's not this idea that things should just be fine and stay fine without any input or awareness or need to put attention on a thing. It's just a setup for failure. It's just not realistic. So this idea that if it's right, it should be easy. You just hit the nail on the head, because that is, and we don't have examples for relationships where people are doing the work, except for Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, I think, are amazing examples of people who are really transparent about the kind of work that they've done. They've worked with a relationship coach. They've figured out a model that works for them. A lot of the world, doesn't necessarily understand their choices, but that's not their problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, but most of the world doesn't know how to.
Doesn't know how to relate.
Yeah, they don't know how to maintenance on their relationships.
Totally.
Yeah, that's the reason the divorce rate is super high, and people are unhappy in relationships, and there's a lot of symptoms, and people don't know what to do or where to turn to. Exactly. Yeah.
And so, staying present and staying curious. Those are two of my favorite things. Work doesn't equal hard. Amen. That's exactly it. And, oh, beautiful. Barbara says, I appreciate Patrick's comment about how many of us haven't learned how to work on a relationship. It's just not something we're taught. We are supposed to know, we go to school to learn how to do the thing we do. We go to school to learn how to be critical thinkers and how to write an essay and things like that. But we don't go to school to learn how to relate. Most of us. Some of us do. And that's why we're here. But, we're supposed to somehow know how to do this. And then there's shame that happens when we realize, oh, I have no idea. And in fact, I picked up a bunch of stuff from my family that isn't helping me here. I thought this was how you do it. And it's actually harming the situation. Right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we've talked about excessive people who get obsessive, super detaily, where you can't let the relationship just kind of breathe because you're constantly tinkering and cleaning and obsessing about it. That's sort of the apex of don't go there. That's the extreme, right? Then there's the sort of the person who takes care of the relationship, takes care of the car. They do some regular maintenance. They take it to the wash, and they detail it however, once a month, whatever feels right. That is akin. Oh, I want to say a word about that. So one of the things I teach when I work with folks is this idea of a State of the Union conversation, this is like a regular maintenance conversation, or you could consider it detailing because it's a step above just regular maintenance. It's where you commit, whether it's monthly, quarterly. I wouldn't do it less than quarterly. I think weekly for us is too much, but monthly, every 2 months, 3 months, whatever rhythm you have, to sit down and have a conversation, like a State of the Union, like here,
State of your union.
State of your union.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is where we're at, like this. And I like to teach it this way, which is for each person to first evaluate, this is how I'm doing mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and socially, right? So socially means like social life aside the relation, including and beyond the relationship, which socially has been the most impacted for the last few years with the pandemic, right? But so each person kind of bringing that to the conversation. Here's how I'm doing mentally, emotionally.
Here's what I want. Here's what I need.
Physically, spiritually, socially. Here's what I want and need in these arenas, right?
Here's how you can support me. How can I support you? Get curious.
Exactly.
Be vulnerable.
Exactly. Like the State of the Union is not the place to like bash each other for what you're doing wrong, or State of our union.
You haven't washed those dishes.
You didn't. Yeah, that's not the purpose of this conversation. The purpose is, and this is like detailing. Okay, so this is like high level maintenance. Oil change is like, I don't know, what would oil change level maintenance be? It would just be the regular, how you doing? Like on any given day, like, how you doing?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah. Actually asking a question instead of guessing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a level of curiosity, but besides just not ambient, but active curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Say more about that.
Like there's a curiosity. We're like, I wonder how, like, I might think, I wonder how Marie Elizabeth is doing right now. Did she eat dinner yet? Is she well? Like, how's it going? That's wondering is somewhat useful because I might make a good guess, but going directly to the source, like what can I do? Like, what do you need? Or even just like me just saying something vulnerable, like that's going on with me, like not waiting until not waiting until you come to ask me what's happening.
Yeah.
Like just giving it up. Like,
I love that.
It's like, I'm totally spent today. I don't have any energy. I'm going to be cranky. It's like kind of giving my weather report.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's more like the day-to-day, or, keeping the air and the tires and the oil in the tank. And that's kind of the day-to-day thing. The detailing thing is I would say, is this what I call the State of our Union conversation, where you're really bringing, here's how I'm doing, here's how I'm doing. And, how can we support each other in having more of what we each want? And, yeah,
I think it could also be like just planning something special with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like maybe we need some just carve out some intimacy time, or let's go to our favorite restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
or let's spend some time with let's have a dinner party with our best friends that are like, let's plan something and do something, and that's like above and beyond what we would do on our day-to-day basis, just to kind of like spark things a little bit.
Totally. I love these comments coming through. Here we have weather report. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, people like the weather report, taking time to affirm one another. That is so key. I think I say this all the time. It's like after a while, your spouse, it's like, oh, there's my spouse, there's my couch, there's my, it's like they just become part of the furniture.
Or like an appendage.
Yeah, they're just like, they're either an appendage of me, or they're just a part of the furniture in the house. And we forget, like, this is a whole person with a whole
universe going on in here.
Right. And it's like, we may think we know. There's so many assumptions. I was just coaching somebody today, and in our session, they spoke some assumption they had about their kids, that about something that they wanted to do with their kids, and like, oh, they're just going to do blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, if you think they're going to just do blah, 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 then they will. Like, are you even open to them showing up differently? And can you make the vulnerable invitation to say, hey, I want to do this with you, and I don't want it to feel shitty like it did last year. Are you willing to come with me in a new way? And she loved that idea. Like, it hadn't occurred to her that she was determining the outcome of the situation simply by having the assumption that her kids were going to react a certain way to what she wanted. And just by having the opening, like, oh, they could, it's possible for them to react differently. And I can invite them to react differently by proactively asking for that, saying, hey, last year didn't feel good when we took this vacation. I'd like to do it again with you this year, but it's got to feel different. Are you willing to be different? Because I want to be different, something like that, where you're actually really opening up a vulnerable conversation.
Yeah. That's a really great thing about, getting some training in relationships or getting a coach, because there's ideas that you might not natively or organically come up with, that can just make your life and your relationship feel easier. Like no one expects you to know how to change your own oil. I mean, you could go on YouTube and like tough it out, but it's kind of messy and complicated if you don't know what you're doing. And you're probably going to make some mistakes along the way when it's totally avoidable. You could go talk to like an expert, and they can make it easy for you or kind of like guide you through it.
Exactly. I was going to say sort of pave the way, like easy or not is up to you, but they can sort of point you in the right direction.
Yeah, you get no bonus points for doing it all by yourself.
I know, right? Damn it. I love this. Corey says, I like that, giving a weather report. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we practice a lot is, it's so easy when your partner is wonky to think that it's your fault, right? At least maybe it's not easy for you, but I know for me, as someone who tends to have a default core wound around feeling like I'm doing things wrong, if he's wonky, my mind will go to, what did I do? What have I done? And that's just like my wounding, right? Now I have lots of skills and tools, schools, SKOOL. I have lots of skills and tools to work with my mind, and I do. However, if he gives a weather report like, hey, like you said, I'm super spent and I'm cranky, then that just heads that thing, my mental thing, off at the pass. And it's not that I rely on him to do that, because I do my own work, but man, it feels good when he does that, because then I don't even have to go down that train, and then I don't even have to clean up that train. And the same for him, where there are times where he's talking about golf and I get full. And sometimes he sees my eyes glaze over, and sometimes he misses it, right? And so I've learned. He's so excited. And sometimes I've learned to say, hey, I'd love to hear more about this later, but I'm full now. And then he doesn't have to be sitting there with someone who's like not able to listen anymore, right? Then that's my weather report. Hey, I'm full right now. Like, could we pick this up again later? Because I actually love your excitement. I just can't take any more terminology in at the moment, because it's just not my language. It's like listening to another language. I wanted to highlight a few more comments. I love that. That's part of my relationship GPS tool. Oh, cool. Yes. If I know where you're at, I can attempt to meet you. Beautiful. Oh, yes. I love it. Listening to communicate versus respond. Man, that is such a key. That's where curiosity comes in, because so often it's like we're listening, waiting for the next chance to say the thing.
Let me say something like somewhat related to what you're saying, so I can talk.
Whereas it goes so much better when we listen to actually understand and learn more about each other. I love what Kim says here. We use tell me something you want me to know. That's beautiful. Do you use that in like a quarterly conversation, or is that just on a daily basis? Or I'd love to hear more about how you use that, because that's a beautiful question.
It's a beautiful opening question.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I feel like that could be like on the level of the regular maintenance.
Like an invitation to curiosity.
Yeah. Tell me something you want me to know. What I love about that too is it doesn't necessarily have to be, somewhat weekly, gorgeous. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the relationship. It could be like, oh, I had a breakthrough in my golf game this week I'm super excited about, right? Like, I love the openness of it can be something you want me to know about you or about us or about my life. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, Kim says it gives the opening to talk about something big or little, which I find super beautiful. So do you have any questions? Anybody else want to chime in with anything? We're getting close to time here, but we wanted to start our series of lives that we're going to be doing with this idea of approaching relationship like you do regular maintenance on a car. Because when you do that, we all know that it's not great to wait till the car breaks down to fix it. But we do this in our relationships all the time.
Yeah, both things have high cost.
Yeah, both things have high costs.
Like, and when the cost is really low early on, it can be very expensive emotionally, financially, in all the directions if you wait too long.
Oh my God. I just had a realization. I was so naive when I bought my first car at 22 or 3. When I moved to California, I'm a New Yorker, so I didn't learn to drive till I was like 18, and then I didn't even actually drive till after college when I moved to California. And I bought like a $500, like a Honda. I swear it was $500. I really think he charged me $500 for this Honda Civic from like a fellow hippie at the time. And I drove it for literally 5 minutes. I mean, literally, I'm a Sag. It's not exactly literally, but I want to say a day maybe. And the thing seized, and so I had to tow it to a garage, and it had 0 oil in the tank. But I didn't know jack shit about cars, and I was like, oh, in hippie la la land where people just are all cool and wonderful. And so I bought this car, and it was a total, mess. I'm seeing that, like, I was like that in relationships too. I'm like, oh, everybody's wonderful and we just love each other. Wait, why is this thing feel terrible? I don't understand why the engine isn't working. Anyway, thank you for helping me get that breakthrough.
The holographic nature of maintenance.
Yeah, I'm curious about what your early relationships, how they related to your maintenance with your cars.
I was just avoidant. I'll just catch the bus. I'll ride my bike. I'll just walk.
I love how the medium gets slower and slower as you get more and more avoidant. That's actually how he feels when he gets avoidant. He gets slower and slower.
I'll just stand still. Take a nap.
I didn't really need to go anywhere anyway.
Who needs to leave the house today? Maintenance. I'll just take a nap.
This is beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. It's really great content with a new perspective to bring awareness to my relationship. Yeah. So this is the invitation that we want to make to you today, is to assess, like, what's my default approach in my relationship? Am I like an obsessive detailer? Am I sort of ongoing maintenance, ongoing detail? I just love to take care of it. It feels generative. It feels delicious. Next level is like, I wait for the engine to be knocking to do something, but I do something when I hear the knock. And maybe that something is like a big thing, like a vacation or a couples retreat or tantra retreat or something like that, where it's like a big bat that you're swinging at the ball. Am I someone who does ongoing maintenance, like Kim's beautiful weekly question? Is there tell me something you want me to know, or the state of our union type of larger conversation we're suggesting, whether that's weekly, monthly, or quarterly, some kind of intentional space that you have together to talk about yourselves, to talk about what's between you, before things get dire, before it gets to the point of having to massive repair.
Before there's no oil in your car.
Before there's no oil and the engine seizes. And then are you someone that typically waits for the breakdown to actually go, oh wow, we need to do something about how disconnected we feel. And there's no shame, right? Like we all,
Yeah.
sure, there's the thing that's going to be more effectual, that's going to have you have more day-to-day happiness or joy. But there's no shame. It's like first recognize how have I tended to be? And then the next question would be, how do I want to be? Like, do I want to be someone who puts attention on my relationship in an ongoing way?
Like you said, attention. Yeah, that's really the generic fix for all the types. Just more attention, but it's like, what kind of specific attention do the different types need? It can vary, but they all just need a little more attention.
Can you say a bit more about that?
I think they just need a little more attention from both partners. That like both like on the union itself and on internal, external. What does my partner need? What do I need? What does the relationship need? There's like, how can I put more attention in all three of those places? Is the generic fix, and then you can get into more specifics when they take your assessment. They can figure out, like what kind of specific things might I need based off of this new way to look at the relationship.
Yeah, that's a great point. So for those of you who joined later, I have a relationship alchemy assessment that shows you in about 4 or 5 minutes really the state of your union. And if you're single, it shows more about how ready you are to open up to a new relationship, how much you're still living in the past, that kind of thing. So it's a quick assessment, 20 questions, and it gives you a real snapshot of this is what's working well, like I'm good, and here are the areas where I could put some attention. So to get access to that assessment, drop the word partnered or single in the comments, and I'll loop around afterwards and I'll get you that link. I'll message you the link. Let me take that down. So I think it's time, if there are any more questions, if there aren't any more questions or anything you want us to chat about, we're going to be back. So this is not your only shot, but if you want to talk more about this idea, we just wanted to start again because awareness is the first step to change. And we wanted to start here with a shame-free invitation to consider more maintenance, to consider the occasional detailing of your relationship, that it doesn't have to be broken for you to want to deepen it, to have more connection, to have more love and connection, and what allows you to do that. And he said it, attention
wins.
Attention wins.
And also, if you have any other questions and you're not live, send those in, or if you have questions afterwards, send those to us. We'll try to incorporate those into our next live, and we can keep the information flow going.
I love that. So I'm going to recap real quick so that we can have a quick recap for you. Today, Patrick and I are talking about your relationship as a vehicle, and we've noticed that there are different levels at which people tend to approach ongoing maintenance and care for their relationship. And the first one, I'm going to start at the apex of kind of like too much, and then we're going to go all the way to what we think is not enough. So too much is that kind of person that's obsessively detailing their car. You said, don't sit.
Oh yeah, don't sit on, like, don't scratch my leather, don't drink in my car, don't eat.
So the equivalent person like that in a relationship is someone who's always kind of picking it apart, like looking for flaws, picking it apart, what needs to be fixed, what's happening. That's sort of the obsessive too much aspect.
Almost anxiety. Almost anxiety,
yeah. And then the next level is really kind of what we're seeing as a healthy level of ongoing. You do your regular maintenance, you do your regular cleaning and detailing. This is the kind of relationship where people have these regular conversations that we call a state of your union conversation, where you're checking in with yourself. How am I doing mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and socially? And how are you doing? Then the other person says that.
How's the union doing?
How's the union doing? How can I support you? What do I need from you? That kind of conversation, which we recommend having on a regular basis with the frequency that serves your union best. Then the next level is the tune-up kind of relationship where you're waiting for the knocking of the engine or the oil light to come on, or the tire indicator that there needs more air. So you're kind of waiting for signals of disharmony to do something. And then those tend to be slightly larger things that you do, like a couples retreat or a tantra retreat or a vacation, but you do something a little more dramatic because it really needs a tune-up. Then the next level below that is repair.
Yeah,
Needs repair. Like it hasn't fully broken down, but it's close. And that would be like really where you need couples therapy. At that point, you really probably need to have counseling. You seek, but you don't our point is don't wait till that to do something.
Ideally, you would not.
Ideally, you would not. And then the final stage is the people who wait until the thing is completely broken. And like my engine that seized because it had no oil of my first car, that you need a tow. Like at that point, you're talking divorce mediation. You're talking,
is it worth keeping this car anymore?
Right. Like, do we need to trade it in?
Is it worth keeping this relationship?
Yes, exactly. So this is the invitation is to kind of assess yourself. Like, what do I tend toward? What do I want? Like, am I happy with what I tend toward? Do I want to have more skills, more maintenance? And yeah, that is the recap. Do you have anything to add?
Nope, that's a perfect recap.
Yeah, great. So one last thing is we have not set the date yet, which we will soon.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But we are in conversation about hosting a couples coaching circle, which will be specifically for partnered people. Both partners do not have to attend, although there is a sizable sort of discount if both partners do want to attend. And it's going to be a 2-week thing. So we'll sort of open it up, the coaching, and it's going to be based on what's in the room. It's a chance to be with us, have our attention on your particular relationship dynamics. And we'll open things up in the first one, create ideas for implementation, and then meet a second time. There'll be connection in between in a Facebook group, but then we'll meet a second time live to coach and on how it went and anything that might need to be tweaked going forward. And so we'll be letting you know about that down the road. If that's something you know that you want to hear more about, please message me. We're working on getting Patrick's Facebook account up and running and reinstated, but you're welcome to message me if you're curious and you want me to put you on a list to be notified when we nail down the details. But that's going to happen later this summer, and we're planning on making it 2 weeks, and it'll be real potent and limited to 12 people, which includes, partners and half the partnership, whatever configuration of y'all show up. And that's something we're excited about.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're excited to coach together. Thank you so much for being here today. Again, if you want info on the assessment, drop a partnered or a single in the chat. And again, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly.
And I'm Patrick Price. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
That was so fun. All right. Thanks so much for coming. And I'm going to take this down, and we'll see you next time. We will notify you the next time we're going to be going live. We'll let you know. Thank you for being here.
Peace.
Bye.